Okay, we've had a few questions from folks asking if they've come to the right page, so I thought I'd come on a few minutes earlier just to say that we are here and ready for you guys. So I'm just waiting for a few people to join. I hope you're all well, excited by the news that phase 2 is starting on Friday, which will explain why we've brought the session ahead of time, as I'm sure you're all going to be out, not staring at a screen and spending time with your friends. So I can see the people joining just as I'm chatting to you. I'm going to give it a few minutes because I think I'm a little bit early, I believe. But for those of you who are on, my name is Visha Nelson, and I am the founder and the designer behind the Cinnamon Room, a home decor store that's based in Holland Village, just above the Chongburi Bakery. And obviously with what's going on with the lockdown, our shop has had to close its doors until Saturday, when we'll reopen. And during this time, I've used this time to really home in on my virtual skills, and I wanted to bring styling tips to folks who are now spending more and more time at home. And even though we're moving into phase 2 and more people are we're going to be able to go out, we're also now able to invite friends and family to our home. So it's never been a more important time to get your home ready. Okay, so the numbers are going up, and let's see who's on the line. This is a very different format to what we would normally do for an Expat Living event. Obviously, most of our previous Expat Living events have all been in our physical space, in our showroom. And this time round, we thought about doing it on Zoom. But truth be told, when we tried it out, I wanted it to be an interactive session, and something that I could demonstrate the styling tips so that you can actually see and implement it of what it's like practically in your space. Now, I want to thank everybody who registered with Expat Living to join this event, and for the many, many, many questions that we got, and the photographs of your various homes that you guys had taken the time to send in to Expat Living. I have gone through all the photographs, and that's been brilliant to really show me what tips I really wanted to target. So I'm going to be answering a lot of those questions by weaving those answers into my tips that I'm going to be handing out in the next hour. But rest assured, if you have sent me a question, hi Kim, nice to see you. I will definitely be in touch with you as well. If you have any specific further queries, if you haven't sent any questions, then please feel free. I really, really would like to make this an interactive session so that people can actually ask relevant things which really matter to you. So I think we've got quite a few people online, and it's now just gone 4. So I'm going to just introduce myself again. My name is Visha Nelson, and I am the founder and the designer behind the Cinnamon Room. We're a home decor store that is in Holland Village, just above the Chongburi Bakery. And I want to thank Expat Living for giving us the opportunity to present some styling tips to you guys at a time when we're all spending a lot more time at home. And now that we are also able to entertain again, it's never been a better time. Hi, Shaira. Good morning, Nicholas. So it's never been a better time to really get your home style ready, not just for yourself, for the people visiting, and to really feel more at home, more comfortable. at the Cinnamon Room, it's all about personalized service. We have a physical store. A lot of the products that we have, you'll see some dotted around my home. So I'm presenting to you today from my home. So welcome, everybody. And I wanted to just also say that if it's going to... The reason why we're doing it on Facebook Live is so that I can demonstrate, and rather than on Zoom, where we would just be restricted to slides, and we won't really be able to see your questions while I'm moving around the home. So I'm now going to hand it over to my lovely daughter, who's going to be filming me, and I'm going to take you through our essential components of the 6 top styling tips that I firmly believe will help you effortlessly transform your space, enhance and create your space. So I'm just handing it over to Lara, okay? Okay. So if you come with me, Lara, and please guys, let me know if you can't hear me well enough, if the voice starts to crackle up, but come on through. This is where I would like to start, and it's the entrance hallway of your home. This is so important for setting the tone of your home. A lot of people neglect the space. They focus on their living areas, their bedrooms perhaps, but not their entrance hallways. And I've seen so many photographs which tells the same tale. Your entrance hallway sets the exact tone of what you're allowing yourself to walk into, what your guests walk in to see, and it's so important to get it right. Now the 6 components, I'm going to quickly take you the very first one, and that is that you're going to create a space, a design scheme for your home that reflects your personality. That isn't an interior designer's personality, it isn't mine, it isn't what you might see in the magazines. Yes, there are trends that come and go, but to have something that is truly timeless, it's really important to create something that reflects who you are. So if you look at my entrance hallway here, Lara, if you can just focus, you can see that we've created, oh look, my candles have gone off center. We've created a focal point. So Lara, if you could stand back and we can show people what we've done here, or at an angle to see how this has been created. We've got a piece of wall art. This is very vibrant, it's reflecting my personality. It also is something that I treasure because I'm someone who has traveled the world a lot. I'm originally of Sri Lankan origin, but I was born in Singapore and I lived abroad, largely in England, New York, Hong Kong for about 20 years. So coming in, and when I first saw this piece of art, it was a cross-culture mix with lots of things that actually really rang true to me. I've created the wall art as our central piece, but if you stand back, you will also see that we've created a focal point with a console table. And on the console table, you can see is a box. Now this is where all the clutter goes. So you can see it's the car keys, the mask, all the stuff that would just ordinarily be thrown around and create a really messy space as you come into the house. Another thing that I've noticed when we walk into a lot of homes is the clutter. Stylish storage is so important. We've got one of the Helping Hands Penang baskets that I've used to put umbrellas, an outdoor yoga mat, caps, and if you have a look, you can see how we've created this space, uncluttered, with a focal point, and we've grounded the space with one of our floor rugs. So Lara, if you can go that way and then capture the whole space from an angle, but looking downwards, you can see what the floor rug does. It sets a tone and it creates a centered space for your focal point. Now I've chosen one of our hide rugs. It's got a metallic finish because this hallway is actually this entrance hall is actually quite dark. What have I then done? I have put a mirror in. The mirror reflects light, as does the metallic finish of this rug. So when the lights come on, it's reflective. Laura, if you go down to show the rug, and then just do, you can see the metallic finish to it, and you can see that the mirror, if you stand here, the mirror also reflects me. So this brings light into a darkened space. So coming through from the entrance hallway, you want to create a sense of flow into the next room. Now I'm blessed to have quite a large living area. If you look through, if we can just turn the camera around, all of this is one big open plan space. So one of the questions that I got was, how do you create furniture placements in a large living area? You define each area for its purpose. Now when we talk about purpose, one thing I noticed with a lot of the photographs that I got was that people go out, obviously, when you're doing your home up, and you buy all the functional pieces. You buy your sofa, you buy your bed, you buy your TV, your console. These are absolutely necessary, of course, but it's what the finishing touches are of the soft furnishings. That's what turns your house into your home. So I'm going to show you some very basic tips of how you can use the functionality of each area, soften it with the added touches and your accessories to create an interesting story that reflects who you are. So if we come in here, you can see this is our library area. I've just had someone saying, hi, you're a bit difficult to understand. Audio is gone, it's back. Okay, I'm sorry about that, guys. It's Facebook Live. It is, believe it or not, actually better than Zoom on the move. But thank you for pointing that out. I'll speak a little slower in case I'm speaking too fast. And as this sound goes, just let us know, and I'll move closer towards the camera. Okay, so here we are. This is the area that is a kind of library space, and you can see that we've got two chairs that ground this space. This is the focal point. We use this area for reading. These shelves is the backdrop and the main focal point. Now, to create a pocket of space that becomes usable, we've got two chairs on either side and then a little table to connect this area, and then to ground the space, which would ordinarily otherwise be a dead space, we've placed a rug. Now, if you come this way with the camera and look forward, you will see that the rug really helps to ground the space. It defines this area. It shows you that this is a pocket of space with its own function. Sorry?
You need to stay close to the phone.
Okay, all right. So you can see what a rug does for a space. I'm now going to take the rug away, and you'll see what a difference it makes to the space. You then just have hard marble floors, and if you stand back, that entire space all together. So if you look right here, you can see that the rug helped to ground this space. Now let's look at, I'm going to put the rug back now. How did I place the rug? How did I create the space to make it feel more grounded? It brings me now to my next point. If I'm just going to move the rug, Lara, I need to get off the rug so I can move it. Okay. If you have a look, we move over here, you can see I've got three boxes. The sense of balance and symmetry, this is what creates a pocket of space where you can see that it is symmetrical in the same way that if you look over here, it creates, again, a sense of symmetry. There are two chairs on either side and a table in the middle with the backdrop. Balance and symmetry is so important in creating a sense of flow in your space. So even when I'm looking at the ornaments that are placed here, you can see if I were to move this round and put this piece that matches that, and moved it up there, can you see how that throws things off balance? There's no symmetry involved in it. So what you need to do is to try and always balance out what you do on one side with the other side. And if you stand back now, you can see that the space looks so much more balanced with that sense of symmetry. If we come to this console over here, you'll see the focal point is the mirror. We've got this console table. I've got a clock that currently isn't working, but you can see that I've balanced it out with two picture frames on either side. And the same applies here. If you look at this entrance hallway console, here is the center. We've moved outwards, and what is paired on either side, whether it's one of the tea lights, two different designs of tea lights, and we've just made it symmetrical. So if you stand back, you gather the whole image. We've got the two of these candlesticks holders, and it's created a sense of symmetry again. Again, we've got two candlesticks on either side, and this balances out. Okay, so one of the questions I got asked, I think it was Shenzi, that you were trying to create a cozy family area, but in the picture that was sent, which I will share later, there was only one chair, and there was a rug that was a little bit too small for the space. So when you're looking for the size of the furniture pieces or the rug, it's really important to get the scale correct. If I only had one chair here, this space would look very, very odd. It would just be that. Now, if you're trying to create a cozy space, a cozy space implies there's a sense of connection. You're connecting with others in that space. So you need to just to put down something that's going to create that comfort for someone else to come and sit down next to you, especially if it's going to be a family area. Now for rugs, that ground a space. If they're too big, they overwhelm the space, and if they're too small, they do not lock for the area. So you can see for this area, we've chosen a rug that is central to this console and to these three boxes over here. So guys, are you following me so far? Does that all make sense? First key point of balance, finding a sense of balance and symmetry, and scale. These two things are going to really help you create or enhance an existing design scheme. Does that make sense? If it does, type yes and let me know that you're on board with what I'm saying and that you're getting the key points here. Yeah? Okay, so we're going to move on to the next, something else that's a common question which I get, and also shown in a lot of the pictures that were sent to me, and that was, you've traveled around a lot, you have lots of differing styles, whether it's Asian antiques or contemporary furniture, and how does it work to make it still work as a cohesive design scheme. So if you come over to my living area, you will see that if you look back from here, the rug that we have here is one of the first purchases that I ever made in Singapore when I didn't know anything about rugs before I started designing them. And when I went out there, there was no end of Oriental rug stores, the Persian rug. And as beautiful as they are, one, they're very, very expensive, but two, really, they're very busy in design, as clearly shown here. So when you're trying to pair rugs in an open plan space, it can become a look that is very cluttered, because each rug, Oriental rug design, starts to compete with each other. Here's the thing, you can easily pair an Oriental rug with a contemporary rug. You just choose a common theme, something that's not going to clash. So that's another one on our balcony of our, if you have a look, it's one of our hide rugs as well. And this is one of our black and white rugs. Now black and white is going to go with any color. I've padded out here so it's a natural flow. And you can see with the common colors of the blues of this rug, we've picked up question that we also got was about styling furniture. So we've got a contemporary style sofa, very contemporary cushions with the stripes, and then we've got a very, very contemporary coffee table with the chrome finish, and something that I would say it's a mix between the two, one of our tea light centerpieces on a very, very traditional oriental rug. So be brave enough to create an eclectic feel, to mix up styles. You can see that even in the backdrop over there, I have positioned on top of quite an old style looking piano, some quite contemporary statues, and then we've got a piece of contemporary art over there. Over here, we've got an old battered leather chair that I bought in London, and I've paired it with a contemporary lantern that's hanging up there. Outside, you can see in my balcony area, if you come over with me, we've got a very contemporary style coffee table. We've got our lanterns that are positioned, and then some antique old style Sri Lankan furniture. So come back in, and I want to show you, talk about colour stories, which is what some of you have asked me about. How do you create an effective colour story? Okay, so if you look over here, guys, you can see that I've created a colour story over here. With this turquoise, I've paired it with a touch of a matching cushion over here. But one thing I also want to say, when we talk about different styles, you can have a look. This matches exactly with this cushion, but it doesn't necessarily need to match exactly, because by just using a different design, but going with the same color tones, you actually make it a little bit more interesting, and it tells a different story altogether. Add that element of surprise. I encourage you all to not do things, if you've got a little, once you start to build on your confidence of creating an effective design scheme, just dare a little bit to try something a little bit different. They both work. I've paired them with different textures. These chairs are made out of, they're old mid-century Italian chairs that I bought in London. They're made of wool, but yet the cushion is made out of a velvet. If you come a little bit closer, Laura, you'll be able to see. It's made out of velvet and silk, and you've also got our hide cushion in the background. So it just tells a little pocket, a little story here. Over here as well, it's the same, different design. And I've just paired it together. So when you stand back, you can see. Now, how have I tied the whole thing together? We've got one of our marble top copper tables. Now, that's got a metallic finish. That metallic finish with the tray, if you come a little bit closer, you will see there's the turquoise on the tray with the gold finish, and then we've got some gold interior tea lights. That matches beautifully with this cushion over here. So we're just creating little color pockets. Now, when you're transitioning from something that is quite colorful and quite busy to something which is a little bit calmer, a black and white color theme is super effective. If Lara, you can stand back and show people this little pocket. Now this I have created because it's a really good transition between one look to another look in a big open plan space. I love the use of glass. Again, you can see we've used, it's got a mirror, etched mirror forefront. Now this is actually a recent side cabinet that is from Indonesia. And again, artwork, creating a focal point, balancing it so that you're moving outwards and it's symmetrical and balanced. I hope that's making sense so far. What you're trying to do is to optimize your space to make it work for you. You're grounding the space with your pieces of furniture, the interesting touches. You're creating color pockets. If you come over here, this is another color pocket. We've got the blue chair, the blue piece of art, this in itself is one area where you're creating that little storyboard in your space. So make it interesting, guys. Show what you can do. Now, if you follow me through, I would like to take you into my bedroom now, because some of the questions that we got were about how to create a bedroom. Why isn't it working for me? So if you come through, welcome to my bedroom, and I want to show you what I've done here. Okay, so if we stand back here, this, of course, in every bedroom, the focal point is the bed. So this is a king size bed, and for me personally, I love a high headboard and an upholstered one. So I designed this for that sense of almost drama, that I wanted something that was going to be memorable and yet still create a cozy environment. If we apply the same principles of balance and symmetry, you will see that even in the positioning of my cushions, they match on either side. There is a symmetrical feel. And if you look back that way, Lara, if you have a look at both sides of the bed with the bedside tables, you will see that there are two very large bedside lights on matching bedside tables, and that creates that sense of balance and symmetry again. Now, what have we done? We have framed the bed with a rug. So if you go downwards, you can see, or if you stand at this angle over here, you can see that actually what is happening is that the bed feels cozy and the room feels a lot more comfortable because the bed is framed by something on the ground. So what's on your walls, what's on your floor, these are the things that's what's actually really going to make a real difference in your space. Now I want to show you something again with the console. We're applying the same principles of balance and symmetry. I've got artwork. This is a huge, large wall. If I didn't have anything up there, it would look really, really bare. I've positioned some artworks, centralized my console. Again, we're back to the same concept of balance and symmetry. I'm beginning to sound like a bit of a broken record, I'm sure, but I want to show you how important these principles are in creating an effective design scheme. Now, there was a lovely lady that sent me a picture of her bed. I think it was More Georgia, and you said that it's a common question that I get asked. A lot of our bedrooms are doubling up as where you work out as well. And she said, you know, how can I make it look nicer? The image that was shown to me didn't have any artwork on the walls, and it didn't have anything on the ground. So it was just the functional pieces of a bed, two bedside tables, and that was it. And that's fantastic, but if you want to change that room from just a space in your house into a home that feels creative and comfortable and sanctuary-like, focus on the soft touches. I've got, even here, I've used the leftover material from our headboard for the ottoman. This is a great way of tying a theme together with, again, that color story, that sense of balance and symmetry, because it's central. I have then the same tone of this cushion is the tone of the chaise longue, where I often sit and have a look out the window with our great view. Now, my desk is in my bedroom. I do use it. I've used the flashes of bright pink and a masculine dark grey. I've tied that in my color story throughout my bedroom. Now, if we come through, you can see artwork makes such a difference in your home in creating a space that has a little bit more ambience. Okay, so don't forget about using the space, not just what you put on the floor, but what you put on the wall. This area could potentially be a complete space if we didn't have any artworks or a rug on the ground. Okay, so you've had a look at my at my bedroom. I'm now just going to invite you into the study. Now this is our study, and it's also our spare room. So I'll be very honest with you, it quite often ends up as a big dumping ground of all the clutter of where we put things, where we don't know where else to do. So I'm very practical in terms of my tips. I can't say get rid of all your clutter, but clutter really does get in the way of creating an effective design scheme that flows, feels balanced, feels sanctuary-like, and stylish. So if you really do still have lots of bits of clutter, I want to show you how using some stylish storage solutions go a long way. Even in my bedroom, you might have seen there was an area where I put my yoga mat. Again, I use a lot of the Penang Helping Hands baskets, and I find that these are actually really, really quite cool. You can see here there is a stool, and that's quite nice. So if you're going to have clutter, store it away somewhere where it looks, at least it can be stylish storage. Now, this room, like I said, is not, it has it's had several incarnations. It's been a massive dumping ground. And still, I feel that with all the different types of storage, it can still look a bit cluttered. So what do you do if that's the case? If I were to take this rug away, you will see what a difference it makes to the room. There would be no focal point, and your eye line would immediately just go to all the clutter. I would say put something effective up on the wall. We've got these wall mats here. This creates a really strong feel of what the room is about. And the reason why I feel that rugs effortlessly, instantly transform a space, can you see by putting a rug down, albeit that this is quite a bold design, that your eye detracts from all the clutter and you look down onto the rug, and it changes the entire feel of a room. So we've now talked about picking something that is your personality, balance and symmetry to create an effective design scheme, mixing it up, different styles, how to ground a space and create different pockets for space optimization. We've talked about decluttering. So important to have good storage. If we come out here, these are not just functional, they are also areas to store things in. So I can't stress enough we all accumulate things. I'm a massive hoarder, I'll be the first to admit it. It pains me to throw anything away. So if you're going to store it, at least store it in something that looks good and can complement your design scheme. Now the last thing I wanted to home in on was ambient lighting. Now today, while I'm talking to you, we've got all the spotlights on, but I often don't actually have any of the lights on. I just literally have some side lights, I would have a floor lamp, and I light a lot of candles. You can see even over here, just for this little area, this tells a little story. It's something that it's a little piece of artwork that I absolutely adore. And I've created this little pocket space. There is a side light, there are candles. We love elephants in our family, and we collect them. Soft lighting goes a long way in creating a sense of ambience. Okay, so if we turned all the lights off, you can see how it's so much softer. You can't really it's not great when we're doing the Facebook Live because you can't really then see me. But focus on something like this, for example, the ambient glow of candles. It goes a long way in creating a more ambient, a cooler sense of ambience and more sanctuary-like feel to it. Play areas. Our study had a lot of toys in it. And one of the questions that I also did get was, what do you do with play areas? Again, it's storage, making sure that all the clutter can be put away, all the toys can be put away in some stylish storage. Having something enticing up on the walls that you can, where children can engage with, that goes a really long way in creating that space. What you put on the floor, what you put on the wall, that goes a long way in creating the right feel for your space. Now, I wanted to know if anyone had any questions. And if you do, I'm more than happy to go through them. I also wanted to show you guys images. Sorry, I'm just going to flick around. I wanted to show you guys images of what people have sent me so you can get a better idea of the kind of questions that came in. And maybe perhaps what we've done so far is to show you how to do it, and where people have asked questions on how to better a space. There's obviously some issue there. So let's tackle those questions together. Okay, someone says, would love to see your dining area. Okay, I'll be more than happy to take you through in there. Just give me a minute while we tackle the questions. I'm going to flip the camera around. Okay, so this was from Synakshi, and she said, what can I do to jazz up this living room? Now, the first thing that I can see when I look at this picture is there is nothing on the ground and there is nothing on the walls. So actually, Synakshi, if you're on this watching, I'll say that your pieces of furniture are absolutely lovely. You've got a gorgeous sofa, you've got a real lovely accents of colors with the armchair, you've got your dining table. All the furniture, actually, they're lovely pieces. But what's actually missing here are the soft touches of what's on the wall and what's on the ground. If you don't have anything on the ground, it's not going to define that area. And if you don't have anything on the walls, then the space is going to look very cold. So my first recommendation of how to, sorry, that was actually, it's not Sonakshi, it's Hane Block. So apologies for that. I've just seen the name. I would say Hane Block. So it's, those are my top two tips to you, is to define both areas with a rug, especially the living area, and then have the colors of what you've got currently, which seems to be like a powder blue or a turquoise. Pick out those tones like you have in the cushions on your sofa. Perhaps look at some artwork that would complement those colors, and a rug on the ground that would perhaps just touch on those colors as well to pull the entire design scheme together. Now, Sonakshi had asked a question, and that was, what's the best way to define furniture arrangement for a large living room, and how to create a color story for that room? So for that, I think I've answered. I hope I have. Answered those questions by defining different areas, making each area functional, and then defining that particular area. How to create a color story for a room. You choose complementary colors, and that really, you can have clashing colors for a particular spot, and that works really well. You can see here in my own home of how I have had contrasting colors. You saw in my bedroom, you saw in my bedroom how I had the fuchsia pink with the grey, of the dark grey of the headboards. And that, I would say, is a clashing tone, but it works. So pair colours together, again, of what's on your existing design scheme already into your pieces. Look for complementary tones in that, or go for a completely, entirely different look altogether with clashing tones, but not too much of it. I'm going to show you guys now some examples where there has been not enough of a color tone. Okay, so Hinano Reynard, thank you very much for sending these pictures in. What I would say is that, again, your pieces of furniture all look lovely, but there's too much grey, in my opinion, in this room. Hinana also sent us this, so this gives us a better look. You've got a big, very large grey sofa, and you've got a very large grey rug. If I go up here, you can see the stance of the rug, of how big it expands into the room. There is no gap between the TV console and the end of the room. Everything has just been placed on it. So the rug, I would say in this instance, overwhelms the room. How you can, she says, I really want to upgrade my living area as well as my balcony, but not sure how. First things first, Hinano, I would say is find some cushions to just break up the colorway of it all being so grey in the living area. Now, if you have a look, the rug, I would also recommend pulling the rug back a little bit so that more of it is under the sofa and there can be a little bit of a gap. Now, what does the gap do? The gap actually helps you to anchor that space. So it defines, there is a gap on this end of the room where there's no rug. If we pull it back over here, you can see there's no rug over here. But to then have the rug go all the way to the other end of the room, I personally think it's just too much. If you can create that little gap all around the rug, just a tiny bit, it doesn't have to be very much, you will see what a big difference it makes to the space. Another thing that I wanted to point out in Hinano's picture, she's got some artworks up here, but the scale of the artworks, if you look in comparison to the size of the sofa and the size of the rug, it's too small. So you would actually benefit, Hinano, by having something which is a lot more prominent, a larger piece or a series of pieces like you've done, but just have them larger for this wall. When you place something that's too small next to something that's too big, it really doesn't create that sense of flow and that sense of a balanced feel again. Now, if I go up to Hinano's pictures, sorry guys, just maneuvering the camera. Okay, so her living room flows out into her balcony. Now you can see what I had with my balcony area. If you look out there, can you see how that my eye line goes directly out and I can see that what is out there? With Hinano's, we have something similar because she looks out into a coffee table. My instinctive thought is there's no coffee table over here in this picture, but there's a big coffee table out there, but you can't actually, what is the purpose? What is the function of that coffee table out there? I would suggest moving some of your pieces of furniture around, Hinano. I don't know if I think this coffee table would actually work quite well in this area. It helps to create a focal point as well. And perhaps move this sofa out towards this area. Your rug is lovely, the sofa is lovely, as are the cushions. So create something that is more functional. Your son isn't sitting on the sofa, but he's sitting on the coffee table because the coffee table in the balcony has become the focal point. So again, guys, think about what is the function of the space? What are you hoping to achieve in that area? How are you going to make that area work for you? It doesn't just need to be functional. It needs to look good. And alternatively, the same applies. It doesn't need to just look good. It needs to work. So if you have a look at it, I would say have a go at moving some of your pieces around of your furniture and create a focal point in the balcony, as I've done here. I know I have a lot more furniture in my balcony, but it's the same principles. I'm creating a pocket of space where people can sit out and we can actually use that space. Okay, let's go back to the next question that we got asked, and that is from Chenzi. So Chenzi, you were one of the people that asked about creating a cozy family area on your second floor area. Now this is precisely what I was saying earlier. You have got just one chair. You've got a whole load of items that are sitting over there. which I would suggest having better storage. The size of your rug, if you look at it, I would say is a little bit too small for all that's going on in there. When you have a rug that is too small, what happens is all the pieces of furniture that are there look like they'll be floating. It doesn't ground the space. And what if you had more furniture in this area, another chair perhaps, a coffee table, some storage, you will find that that rug won't float and will actually be, it will define the area by creating something, again, it's functional, you create it with a sense of balance and symmetry. Now, if you look closely, guys, actually, Shenzi has got some beautiful pieces of furniture. She has got what looks like a mother-of-pearl chair, which I think could be a really interesting accent of mixing old and new. But Shenzi, what you've done is to just put your clutter on top of it. So perhaps find more baskets like you've got over here, or some other pieces of effective storage where you were going to actually appreciate that beautiful chair rather than just seeing it being consumed by clutter. So Shenzi, I will also be in touch with you to go through this in more detail, but I wanted to show our audience some of the questions that came in. Louise Caro, she asked, we have quite a few Asian pieces, cabinets, side tables, ceramic stools, and once we move back to Australia, we're more likely to have a coastal, beachy feel. How do you incorporate these pieces without making a total Asian space? So, but when I got this question was one of the reasons why I actually did think I would do a Facebook Live from my home to demonstrate to you guys how I have incorporated pieces from all over the world. I've lived in London, New York, Hong Kong. I've spent a lot of time in Sri Lanka. We are here now living in Singapore. And as I've moved around, I've accumulated pieces. So you can see that even though I've accumulated Asian pieces of furniture, I've got a very modern Union Jack chair. I've got a Kelly Hoppen modern TV console. And then I've got older style pieces like the mother of pearl console, which I purchased when I was in Hong Kong. This old Venetian mirror. These pieces and the antique old storage. Actually, these are not antique, I have to say. These storage boxes, they are reproductions, but giving a contemporary feel to something on a traditional cabinet. So again, mixing the old and the new with the oriental rug, with the contemporary pieces of furniture, this really does show what a difference it can make by pairing old and new. So I hope that answers your question, Louise. Now, Komil has sent in some pictures, which I'm going to show you guys now. Now, this is an example of a place where a room where you have got a lot of color going on. I love and adore color. Anyone who's familiar with our brand, and even just based on what I'm wearing today, you'll see I adore color. Now, in this instance, the question that Komal was asking was she wanted to create an accent wall. And how would she do that? So you've got quite a few of those colors going on there, Komal. In your furniture, I would pick one of those tones and have a slightly toned down version of it. So if you were to pick this, what looks like a blood orange, I would have a slightly lighter tone of the orange on one of the walls. Or if you were to pick one of the pinks, I would have a slightly less bold color on one of the walls, and that can then help to enhance, to tie that color theme together. So Deanna, you've just asked, apart from playing around with colors from the furniture, how do I do the same with the walls? Okay, so you create an accent wall, you pick up one of the themes of one of the colors that you have. So it could be touches of color around the room. Like you can see here in Komal's, I picked out the pinks and the oranges, and you can have one accent wall. I would not paint all the walls when you have got a lot of color in the room already, because it's just going to look a little bit too busy. Kamal also sent in another picture, and that was of her TV room. And she says, the second is of my TV room. I do have a lovely carpet that was removed. The room needs a facelift. Any ideas would be great. Okay, the first thing that I would say here is what's actually really missing in the room is a rug. I understand what you say about that you've removed the rug because you've just got a pet. But perhaps find a rug that is easy to maintain and easy to clean, because that's going to make a lot of difference to the room. There's dark furniture, you've got dark wooden floors, you've got a big black TV. The place seems quite heavy because there's nothing to lighten the space. So I know there are lots of rugs out there. Find one that perhaps is easy to maintain. Now, one of the plus points of our hide rugs that we have is that they can withstand coffee, red wine, anything spilling on it, it just easily wipes away. It doesn't seep in because the hide has a natural sort of film to it that doesn't allow things to seep in. So perhaps consider a rug, not necessarily if it's one of our hide rugs, but a rug that can withstand the stains. But based on your picture, I would say go for something which is of a lighter color. Again, I would say, Kamal, if you look at your artworks, they're all quite small pieces in what looks like quite a large room. And I would say perhaps consider having something a little bigger on this wall, and then your eye is then detracted from all the dark pieces in the room, and it's going to go for something up there. That's what you're going to start looking at. You've got this wall over here. Perhaps some of this can move to these walls, and the smaller pieces can frame the area. I'm just going to show you. People think that because you've got a big TV that wall is then out of bounds. Now, with my very large television, not my choice, there was going to be a big blank area above here. What I've actually done is to just, if you look back, there's artwork all around it. So then the big black television doesn't become the focal point and doesn't consume that part of the room. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay, let's go back to the next question that we got. Photo of the bedroom, and this was more Georgia that we tackled. So more Georgia, here are my tips. Very easy to transform this room. You need something up on the walls, some bedside lamps that have a little bit more height so that it balances up against the room, and framing your floor with your bed rather with a rug. This is going to make such a huge difference in changing the room. You've also got a big blank wall over here. Consider some artwork up here. You could have, I don't know how much space there is out here, but if this is the area that you're using for your workout, I would say you definitely could soften the area on either side as well. So if you had a rug and it framed the bed and it came out like it did in my room, that would actually go a long way in softening the room and creating a bit more ambience. Arti Sonawala, you sent us some pictures of your living room, and you said you would like it to feel more stylish and cluttery. I'm going to zoom in on Artie's pictures, and again you'll see she's got some lovely pieces of furniture. She's got some great wall art. What's actually a little bit, I think, making it feel cluttered is the choice of two oriental rugs on the ground. They're both beautiful rugs, but I would contemplate not having these so close next to each other. The competing busy designs is what's also causing it to be really cluttered. So perhaps move this rug somewhere else, not directly next to it. Artie, also storage. I can see that you've got a really nice turquoise cabinet in the background. This area looks really cluttered because, again, you haven't, if we are using the same principles of balance and symmetry, can you see how you've cluttered and put all the pieces of furniture all in this one corner? If you're trying to create a sense of that symmetry, I would recommend moving this piece of furniture away from that corner and perhaps just moving everything a little bit forward so that you can create that sense of flow within the room. I will also write back to you, Artie, to address some of the other things, but I wanted to show our audience the images. Now, last but not least is Winnie. Winnie sent us these images of her living area. First thing I would say, Winnie, is the space has all the furniture pushed against one end. You've got sofa, and then nothing on the ground. Again, you're trying to create an area where you are going to try and create a sense of connection. There's too much furniture, too much seating going on this end of the wall. If you were to move this piece of furniture away, perhaps, I don't know what's happening on this end of the room, perhaps move it so it's facing this. This creates a sense of connection, a pocket of space where people can sit, face each other and talk to each other. You've also got bare floors, Winnie, and I would encourage putting a rug down just to really define that area so it doesn't look like everything is floating. And the same goes for here in Winnie's space of her dining area, where you've got nothing on the ground there as well. Remember, we talked about if you've got a large area and you are trying to define the spaces, a rug is a perfect way to ground each space and define the area so that each space has its own story and its own function. Okay, those were some of the main questions that we got. If I've also just scrolling through, Alice Lan asks now, how do you choose the correct size rug? That's a great question, Alice. If you go onto our website, I've listed down some top tips of how to choose the right rug from your space. I would say, Alice, the main key thing is to choose it according to scale. So if you've got, depending on the type of sofa that you have, if it's for a living area, look at the size of sofa. And we've given some recommendations for the sizes that you would choose if you had a small 2 or 3 seater or an L-shaped sofa. Similarly, if you were looking at a rug for your bedroom, it would really depend on the size of your bed. A king size or super king size bed would require a rug, I would say, that's about 2 meters by 3 meters. If it's a queen size, double, single, then a smaller rug, roughly around 1.6 by 2.3 or 5 by 7 if you're looking at feet, that generally tends to work. So look at the area where you're trying to place the rug, look at the scale of the size of the furniture, and then choose your rug size accordingly. We've actually listed, I did a specific section of how to choose the right rug in terms of size, dimensions, color, and it's on our website at thecinnamonroom.com. So please do have a look and see if that answers your questions. And if it doesn't, just drop me a DM, Alice. I'll be more than happy to have a look at the space where you're looking for a rug and give you some advice. Okay, Shira, I wanted to see our dining area. I am going to walk you guys over and lots of... Okay, I think that is most of the questions. So very quickly, I am going to walk you into my dining area. So my dining area is one which is lots of different fabrics. Again, focal point, the table. I've gone for chairs, all different fabrics. I have a love for Designers Guild. So these are all the different fabrics that I've chosen. They're all offcuts that I've pieced together. So you can see even in one of these chairs, the fabric that's used at the bottom, on the top. These are all offcuts that we've pieced together to create an interesting story of a chair. The console, you can see, is an old piece of Chinese furniture. It's a cabinet that I got from Just Anthony when we first arrived. I've created that sense of balance and symmetry. If you have a look with the table lamps. Now, I'll tell you a little, interesting thing. I love offcuts, and I've told you that I'm a massive hoarder. This material that I used for both our table lamps here are actually the material that I used from my bridesmaids' dresses from my wedding. So if you look closely, you can see the detailing of the pearls and the embroidery, and I had this material sitting around, and see, you can repurpose things. So there is some purpose in hoarding some things. And again, when I've styled the console, this is a very, very broad, wide console. We've got some of our cinnamon room frames, but we've also got, this is something that I got from Shanghai Tang. It was with an enamel finish, and I've pieced them together. 3 picture frames on one side, another 3 on the other side. And then I always have tea lights, which I adore. My focal point in this arrangement is our cake stand. And again, with the artwork, you can see balance and symmetry. I've got one artwork here, a portrait, a landscape style, and these are pieces that I collected in London when we were living there. So this is my dining area leading out into my living area. You can see the colorways. I've tied in these blues. So when you look out here, I pick up the blue in the cushion. I pick up the blue in the rug. I pick up the blue in the tray. Again, the little touches. I then transition through black and white into this area where there's still a hint of blue, and then we go into the various colors, the oriental rug, the reds and blues picked up with the Union Jack chair and the TV console, and then we go out into my balcony, a black and white. We've got a fabulous view. I've tied in the black and white and their touches. If you look, there's just a hint of orange. That orange then pairs with the orange over here. You can see. And I've created a pocket of space, and that's another dining area. Again, ambient lighting. We've stuck these spikes into our pots. You can see that they're all lit, different tones. And if you look up over there, this is words that I've collected over the years and created a pocket of space that I'm happy to spend time in on a glorious day and in the evening, and when I am looking forward to spending time with friends when I'm allowed to see them again on Friday. Now it's been an hour, and I hope you have enjoyed the tips that I've shared with you. I'm also, for all of you who registered through the Expat Living event to watch us, I will be sending you a follow-up email, and I'm going to be doing little snippets of styling tips and videos that I can also send across to you. If you haven't signed up through Expat Living and you would like to get access to these videos, please just drop me a DM, and I'll make sure with your email address, and I'll make sure you'll be added to the list. Now, I've shown you a whole stream of things, lots of different products, whether I've collected them on my travels or whether I have designed them myself. And I just wanted to say that for the products, the cinnamon room products like the rugs, the cushions, the tea lights, we have offer at the moment of free delivery all over the island, which is valid for just a week. So if you are interested in anything to take advantage of our free delivery, this is just for a week, to enhance your space. But more importantly, if you need any further tips and you found this useful, just drop me a direct message and I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. I want to thank Expat Living very much for arranging this, and for you guys for actually changing the time in the last minute to jump on this, because it was due to be on Friday and we brought it forward to today with the circuit breaker being lifted in phase 2. So thank you all so very much. I've really enjoyed sharing my home with you, and hope to see you in store. We'll be open from Saturday from 11 to 4 with our regular hours. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found it useful and beneficial. Take care, guys. Bye.